There's a battery maintenance trick that Japanese mechanics have used for decades, and American dealerships absolutely hate it. Why? Because if you knew about it, you'd stop replacing your battery every 3 to 4 years. I discovered this technique from a mechanic friend in Tokyo, and it's extended my Toyota Camry's battery to over 8 years. No joke. In the next 20 minutes, you'll learn exactly how to do this and why it's completely legal, despite what some shops might want you to think. Why your battery is dying faster than it should. Alright, let's start with the bad news first. Your car battery isn't supposed to die after just 3 or 4 years, but most of us, myself included before I learned better, are accidentally killing our batteries without even knowing it. Here's what's happening. Every time you start your car, your battery dumps a huge amount of power to turn over that engine. That's normal. But then your alternator is supposed to recharge that battery while you drive. The problem? Most of us don't drive long enough for that to actually happen. Think about your daily routine. You drive to the grocery store, maybe 10 minutes away. You drive to pick up the kids from school, another 15 minutes. You run to Target real quick. These short trips are absolutely destroying your battery. Your alternator needs at least 20 to 30 minutes of driving to fully recharge what your starter motor used up. So what happens? Your battery is constantly running half empty. It's like charging your phone to only 50% every single day. Eventually, it's going to give up on you. And here's the kicker. If you live here in Texas like I do, the heat makes everything worse. Most people think cold weather kills batteries, and yeah, it makes them sluggish. But extreme heat? That's the real killer. It speeds up all the chemical reactions happening inside your battery, and that wears it out way faster. Plus, modern cars are packed with electronics. Your alarm system, your computer, your GPS, your radio memory, all of that is pulling tiny amounts of power, even when your car is sitting in the driveway. It's called parasitic drain, and it's like leaving a light on in your house 24/7. Add it all up, short trips, Texas heat, and all those electronics, and you're basically asking your battery to run a marathon while carrying a backpack full of rocks. No wonder it dies after 3 years. How Japanese drivers keep their batteries alive for a decade. Now here's where it gets interesting. I have a friend who worked as a mechanic in Tokyo for almost 10 years. When he moved back to the States, he couldn't believe how often Americans were replacing batteries. In Japan, it's completely normal for a battery to last 8, 9, even 10 plus years. So what are they doing differently? First off, Japanese car culture is all about prevention instead of reaction. They don't wait for something to break and then fix it. They maintain things before problems even start. It's just a different mindset. Every month, and I mean every single month, Japanese drivers check their battery's health. They use a simple tool called a multimeter. Don't let the name scare you. It's basically a little device with 2 wires that tells you how much voltage your battery has. You can pick one up at AutoZone or O'Reilly's for like $15. A healthy battery should read about 12.6 volts when the car is off. If it's lower than that, you know something's wrong before you end up stranded in a parking lot. Second thing, they clean their battery terminals religiously. You know that white crusty stuff that builds up on battery posts? That's corrosion, and it blocks electricity from flowing properly. It's like trying to drink a milkshake through a straw that's half clogged. Japanese drivers clean that off every couple months using baking soda, water, and a wire brush. Takes 5 minutes, costs basically nothing. Third, and this is big, they practice something called conditional charging. Basically, if they know they've been making a lot of short trips, they'll intentionally take a longer drive just to let the alternator fully recharge the battery. They might drive 30 minutes on the highway on a Sunday afternoon, not because they need to go anywhere, but just to top off the battery. And here's something really smart. If a Japanese driver knows their car is going to sit unused for more than a few days, like if they're going on vacation, they'll hook up a battery tender. That's a small device that keeps the battery at the perfect charge level while it sits. Prevents it from draining down to nothing. My friend told me that in Japan, they follow what he calls the 30-minute rule. At least once a week, you should drive your car for a solid 30 minutes to keep the battery healthy. Not stop-and-go traffic. Actual highway driving where the alternator can do its job. When I started doing this with my Camry, I noticed the difference within a few months. The engine cranked faster, the headlights were brighter, the whole electrical system just felt healthier. The almost illegal Japanese trick that doubles battery life. All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. The trick that my neighbor didn't believe until he saw it with his own eyes. Here's the deal. The main reason batteries die isn't because they wear out, it's because they get clogged up. Let me explain that in simple terms. Inside your battery, there are lead plates sitting in acid. When everything's working right, a chemical reaction between those plates and the acid creates electricity. Pretty simple. But when your battery sits unused or doesn't get fully recharged, something called sulfation happens. Basically, crystals start forming on those lead plates. Think of it like plaque building up on your teeth. These crystals block the chemical reaction from happening properly, and the more crystals that build up, the less power your battery can produce. Eventually, there are so many crystals that your battery can barely hold a charge at all. That's when you think the battery is dead and you go buy a new one. But here's the secret, those crystals can be broken down and removed. The process is called desulfation, and Japanese drivers have been doing it for years using special devices. Now, I'm going to be straight with you. Some dealerships and auto shops really don't like talking about this. Why? Because they make good money selling you a new battery every few years. If your battery lasts 10 years instead of 3, that's a lot of sales they're missing out on. That's why I call it almost illegal. It's not actually illegal at all, it's just something the industry doesn't advertise. Some shops even tried to claim these devices don't work, but the science is solid and they're used all over the world. You can buy a desulfation device, also called a pulse charger or a smart charger, for somewhere between $30 and $80. Brands like NOCO, Battery Tender, and CT Key all make good ones. You hook it up to your battery, plug it in overnight, and it sends special pulses of electricity that break down those sulfate crystals. I bought a NOCO unit 3 years ago for about $60. I hook it up to my Camry's battery once every 2 or 3 months, leave it overnight, and it keeps everything clean and healthy. That $60 investment has saved me probably $400 in battery replacements by now. My neighbor was skeptical. He said there's no way a $60 gadget can replace a $200 battery. So I showed him my multimeter readings. My battery that was already 5 years old was still testing at over 90% capacity. He couldn't argue with the numbers. He bought his own desulfation charger 2 weeks later. 6 months after that, his dying battery was still going strong. He called me up and said, "I can't believe dealerships don't tell people about this." Well, now you know why. The beauty of this trick is that it's not complicated. You don't need to be a mechanic. You don't need special tools. You literally just plug it in and let it do its thing. If you can charge your phone, you can do this. Temperature management, what American drivers get wrong. Let's talk about something that really surprised me when I first learned about it. Temperature. Most people think winter is the enemy of car batteries. And yeah, cold weather does make batteries act sluggish because it slows down the chemical reaction inside. That's why your car cranks slower on a freezing morning. But here's what shocked me. Heat is actually way worse for your battery's long-term health. Extreme heat speeds up the chemical reactions inside your battery, and that causes the internal parts to corrode faster. It literally cooks your battery from the inside. Living here in Texas, I see this all the time. People in places like Arizona, Florida, and Texas burn through batteries way faster than people in cooler states. In Phoenix, the average battery life is like 3 years. In Seattle, 5 or 6 years. Same battery, different temperature. So, what can you do about it? Japanese drivers in hot climates use battery insulation wraps. They're basically heat shields that wrap around your battery and keep the temperature more stable. You can find them online for around $20 or $30. Some people even use reflective insulation, the same stuff you'd use in your attic. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't wrapped my battery yet because I park in a garage most of the time. But if you're parking outside in direct Texas sun every day, it's worth considering. Here's what I do. Instead, I try to park in the shade whenever possible. If I'm going to Target and there's a spot under a tree versus one in direct sun, I'll take the shaded spot. It seems like a small thing, but keeping your engine bay even 10 or 15 degrees cooler makes a real difference over time. For those of you in cold climates, you can use battery blankets. They're like electric heating pads for your battery that keep it warm overnight. They cost about $20 to $30 and can help your battery perform better in freezing weather. The point is this, temperature extremes are hard on batteries. If you can protect your battery from extreme heat or extreme cold, you're going to extend its life significantly. The modern car features that are killing your battery. Okay, here's something that frustrates me. Car manufacturers keep adding more and more electronic features to cars, but they're not always increasing battery capacity to match. So you end up with a battery that's working overtime just to keep everything running. Let me give you some examples. A lot of newer cars have start-stop systems. That's where the engine automatically shuts off when you're stopped at a red light, then restarts when you hit the gas. The idea is to save fuel. And yeah, it does save a tiny bit of gas. But you know what it's murder on? Your battery. Every time that engine stops and starts, your battery has to work. Do that 50 times during your commute, and you're putting way more cycles on your battery than it was designed for. Some start-stop systems use special batteries that can handle it, but a lot of cars just use regular batteries. Those regular batteries wear out fast. Then you've got heated seats, powerful stereos, phone chargers, GPS units, dash cams, the list goes on. All of these pull power. And here's the sneaky part, some of them pull power even when you think the car is completely off. Your alarm system? Running 24/7. Your car's computer? Stays on to remember your seat position and radio presets. Your GPS tracker or OnStar system? Always on. Each one individually doesn't use much power, but add them all together. And it's like leaving a couple lights on in your house all day, every day. I learned this the hard way. I installed a dash cam in my Camry a few years back. It was one of those models that stays on even when the car is parked, so it can record if someone hits you. Great idea, right? Well, I went on a week-long vacation, came back, and my battery was completely dead. The dash cam had drained it. Now I unplug the dash cam anytime I know the car's going to sit for more than a couple days. Here's what you can do. First, if your car has a start-stop system and you're not required to use it, turn it off. Most cars have a button that deactivates it. Yeah, you might burn a tiny bit more gas, but you'll save way more money by not replacing your battery every 2 years. Second, unplug accessories you don't need. If you have a phone charger that stays plugged into your cigarette lighter all the time, unplug it when you're not using it. If you have a dash cam or GPS tracker, get one with a battery saver mode or unplug it when parked for extended periods. Third, and this is important, if you're not driving your car for more than 3 or 4 days, consider using a battery disconnect switch. It's a simple device that cuts all power to everything except essential systems. You can install one yourself for about $15 or have a shop do it for $30. My neighbor with the F-150 had a massive sound system installed. Subs, amps, the whole deal. He couldn't figure out why his battery kept dying. Turns out his amp was pulling power even when the truck was off. He installed a battery disconnect switch and his battery problems disappeared. Bottom line, modern cars are power hungry. If you're not careful, all those fancy features will drain your battery dry. The testing and maintenance schedule you need. Alright, let's talk about the actual routine you should follow. This is the schedule I use, and it's the same one my mechanic friend from Tokyo taught me. Once a month, mark it on your calendar, test your battery voltage with a multimeter. I do mine on the first Sunday of every month. Takes literally 2 minutes. Here's how it works. Make sure your car has been sitting with the engine off for at least a couple hours. Pop the hood. You'll see 2 battery terminals, one positive, usually marked with a plus sign in red, one negative, marked with a minus sign in black. Touch the red probe from your multimeter to the positive terminal. Touch the black probe to the negative terminal. Look at the number. It should read 12.6 volts, maybe 12.5 if it's a little low. That means your battery is fully charged and healthy. If it reads 12.3 or lower, your battery is only about half charged. That's not good. It means either your alternator isn't charging it properly or something's draining it, or you're not driving long enough for it to recharge. If it reads below 12 volts, your battery is basically on life support. You need to charge it immediately or you're going to get stranded soon. I keep a little notebook in my garage where I write down the voltage reading every month. That way, I can see if the numbers are trending down over time. If my battery used to read 12.6 and now it's consistently reading 12.4, I know something's changing and I can address it before it becomes a problem. Every 2 to 3 months, clean your battery terminals. You'll need baking soda, water, and a wire brush. You can buy a battery terminal brush at any auto parts store for like $3. Mix a tablespoon of baking soda with a cup of water. Pour it over the terminals where you see corrosion. It'll fizz up. That's the baking soda neutralizing the acid. Scrub with the wire brush until the metal is shiny and clean. Rinse with water, dry it off, and you're done. 5-minute job, and it makes a huge difference in how well electricity flows. Once a year, take your car to an auto parts store and ask for a load test. Most places like AutoZone or O'Reilly's will do this for free. A load test simulates real-world conditions and tells you how well your battery can actually perform under stress. It's way more accurate than just checking voltage. The guy at the parts store hooks up a machine to your battery, and it puts a heavy load on it for about 10 seconds. If the voltage stays strong, your battery is good. If it drops too much, the battery is weakening and you should start planning to replace it soon. And here's my favorite trick. Use a desulfation charger every 2 to 3 months. I plug mine in overnight, usually on a Saturday. I wake up Sunday morning, unplug it, and I'm good for another couple months. It keeps those sulfate crystals from building up and keeps my battery running like new. This whole routine sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's maybe 20 minutes total per month. That's less time than it takes to wait for a tow truck when your battery dies at the worst possible moment. Why the USA versus Japan? Approach makes all the difference. Here's the thing that really opened my eyes. It's not just about the tricks or the tools, it's about the entire mindset. In America, we have a reactive culture when it comes to car maintenance. Something breaks, then we fix it. Battery dies, we buy a new one. Tire goes flat, we replace it. Oil light comes on, we change the oil. We wait for problems to announce themselves. In Japan, it's the complete opposite. Car maintenance is a regular ritual, like brushing your teeth or mowing the lawn. You don't wait until your teeth hurt to brush them. You don't wait until the grass is 3 feet tall to mow. You do it regularly to prevent problems. Japanese drivers view their car battery the same way. They check it every month, clean it every few months, and maintain it constantly. They're not trying to fix a problem, they're preventing the problem from ever happening in the first place. And here's the crazy part. The average American spends maybe 15 minutes per year thinking about their battery. We check it when it seems weak, and that's about it. Japanese drivers spend 15 minutes per month. That's 12 times more attention. But guess what? They spend way less money. Think about it. If you replace your battery every 3 years at $200 a pop, that's $600 over 9 years. If you spend $60 once on a desulfation charger and $15 on a multimeter, and your battery lasts 10 years, you've saved over $500. Plus, you've saved yourself the headache of being stranded, the cost of a tow truck, the time wasted dealing with a dead battery. My neighbor calculated it out. He figured he'd spent over $800 in 6 years on batteries and related problems. Meanwhile, I'd spent $75 on tools, and my original battery was still going strong. There's another difference too. In Japan, drivers actually replace their batteries before they completely die. They test their battery regularly, and when it drops below 80% capacity, they swap it out. Why? Because they don't want to risk getting stranded. We Americans drive our batteries until they're absolutely dead, then act surprised when it happens at the most inconvenient time. We squeeze every last drop out of them, and sometimes we end up paying for it with a tow truck bill, or a missed meeting, or a ruined morning. The Japanese approach is smarter. Spend a little time and a little money on prevention, and you avoid the big problems entirely. It's not rocket science. It's just a different way of thinking. And honestly, once you get into the habit, it's not even hard. Checking your battery voltage once a month becomes as automatic as checking your tire pressure. Cleaning the terminals every few months becomes just another weekend chore. It stops feeling like extra work and starts feeling like common sense. So there you have it. The reason Japanese batteries last 10 plus years while American batteries barely make it to 5 isn't because they have better batteries, it's because they have better habits. Monthly voltage checks with a $15 multimeter, terminal cleaning every couple months with baking soda and a wire brush, a desulfation charger used a few times a year, protecting your battery from extreme temperatures, and a mindset focused on prevention instead of reaction. Start with just one thing today. Grab a multimeter, check your battery voltage, and see where you stand. I guarantee it'll change the way you think about car maintenance. If this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more money-saving car tips from around the world. I'll see you in the next one.